a presentation of KQED San Francisco.
Today we're going to poach a chicken in wine and aromatic vegetables.
Okay, I'm gonna get started.
Shaq, that was beautifully, expertly, and rapidly done. But I think you read the wrong recipe. We need a whole chicken.
No problem. Here you are.
Just what I wanted, Jack. Now let's begin.
Happy cooking.
Bon appetit. Now we're going to do a very nice recipe, a whole chicken poached in white wine and aromatic vegetables like leeks and carrots. And we're going to serve it whole on a bed of rice with the vegetables around it.
Let's start.
There's our chicken.
Okay. So I have all the vegetables. We have leek, of course, celery, carrot. I've already have one leek cut. I'm going to peel that carrot. What are you going to put in the chicken?
I'm going to make an herb bouquet. There's some thyme and a few peppercorns. And I'm going to tie them all up in a piece of leek, which will keep them together. There's some fresh tarragon. You can hold it and I'll tie it.
Okay.
But you tie it up just so that you can lift it out when the chicken is done. And you won't have herbs floating around in the broth.
Actually, I'm going to do the same thing with those vegetables. It'd be easier to remove them. And I have a leek here. Take the first layer or two and keep that for stock. That's very good. And we want to open them. I won't put too much of the green here. Keep the green. We want to cut them in half. And I'm going to wash it because you see there is some dirt over there. So I'm going to cut this in half also. Good. And you have the pot for the chicken?
I do have a great big pot right here. This is really a very homey recipe, isn't it? Because you don't have to do much to anything. Should we put the chicken in first?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And this isn't crust or anything. There doesn't no stuffing. It's just going in sideways.
Yes, so that you give me place for all the vegetables here. You don't have to do this, but it helps to remove the whole thing, you know? Okay, we have that next to it.
Beautifully.
It fits beautifully.
And then we have these little pearl onions, and we've just stuck some cloves into them.
Yeah.
You'll often see a recipe stuck with 2 cloves.
So we
and
have
these are going to go in too. And just to keep them from bursting, take your little knife and poke across about 1/4 of an inch deep into the root ends of the onions, and that helps keep them together.
We have all of it together. I'm putting the salt here and the bouquet garni, water, and we have some wine, right?
Yep, we're going to have half a bottle of white wine.
Half a bottle you're putting?
Yes, well, that's not very much.
I think the recipe was half a cup. We're getting to half a bottle.
That wasn't my recipe.
Okay.
There.
And about 10 cups of water. Sometimes the chicken come up to the surface and start floating. To keep it underwater, I put a colander or a sieve on top of it. With just the weight will hold it.
Is this going to cook with a cover or not?
No, I think we'll leave it this way and bring it to a boil and simmer it gently for about 15-20 minutes. Then after, it can cool off in the broth.
Now that is really a very slow boil or real simmer for 20 minutes. And now,
Right.
time for the mushrooms to go in, just a little handful of mushrooms.
Good.
And then it's going to come up to the boil, and then it's going to be covered and sit.
Yeah, it come back to a good boil.
Yep.
We cover it, come back to a strong boil, and now we leave it on the side for 45 minutes to an hour.
And you'll be amazed to see that everything is cooked.
Good.
Now we're going to do the dough for the chicken pot pie. We want 3
You want 3 cups of flour, yes?
We measure, as always, dip the cup into the flour until it's overflowing.
We have 2.5 sticks of butter.
There we have 3 cups of flour. Now this butter, this is cold chilled butter cut into little cubes. That's going to mix with the flour very nicely. We have,
How much shortening?
we
you
want
want?
about 2 tablespoons of shortening.
Basically what you
Reason
want,
for
yeah?
the shortening is to tenderize the dough, because we have all-purpose flour. And then if we had the salt in yet,
No, I put, you want a little dash of salt, right? About
Yeah.
half a teaspoon. You want a bit of sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's it.
So,
You ready?
we're going to pulse it. Now we
Yes.
want a little water that goes in
Yeah.
there.
Yes, I put about 1/3 of a cup here. Let's see what happens.
Let's leave a little more.
Yeah.
You want it
You wanna
just to
see what
hold together.
What do
Is
you
that
think?
holding?
Yeah, it's pretty soft.
I think it could have about 2 tablespoons more.
2 tablespoons more? Okay.
And this is ice water. And you
Good.
don't want to do it so much that it's going to sit on top of the blade. And now we take it up and turn it.
I can take it out this way and just gather it together here,
Gather
right?
it together into a.
To a dough, yeah? Can use even the plastic wrap now to gather it. You see, this is holding together very well.
That's
Yeah.
going to be quite a flaky dough because the butter is still in fairly large pieces.
Exactly.
And now it needs about a, what do you think, about a 2-hour rest?
Yes.
The chicken is done, and now we're going to show you how to serve it.
Yes.
This is really, it's a really chicken pot-au-feu, isn't it?
Right. See, we put that upside
Looks
down.
just like
This
a
is nice
colander,
because it holds it underwater. And now we're going to take it out to carve it, right? With all the vegetable. Look at that here. Here it is here. And it's good to have that type of board because the juice is going to go
Yeah.
around now.
We're going to serve it on a bed of plain steamed rice with a little salt and pepper in it.
And you can see that chicken is cooked the way it's separate. You know, just I put on it and it's separate this way. I'll put the wing. Julie, I'm going to remove the skin, right? To serve
Yes,
it like that
yes,
is better
I think
without the
so.
skin. Just actually slide the skin off.
That really
going
is
to
cooked, isn't it?
Yes, slide very easily. And then we have the breasts like this, you know, are just sliding
This is-
apart. Okay, here it is. The other breast. Whoop. We're going to rearrange it. I give you the thigh and the drumstick.
It certainly smells awfully good.
Yes. This is a real home style, you know, Sunday dinner or lunch. Here we are with that last piece. I have my whole chicken. That would be plenty for 4 people, huh?
Oh,
Don't
it
you think
certainly
so?
would. And there are your vegetables.
Now here is the vegetable. You know what I'm going to do is to put them right on top. Remove the
I'll
string,
separate them.
and we can separate them.
You really need 2 people in the kitchen, don't you?
It's much better. with
Much
2.
better with 2.
Okay. Now I've got the bouquet garni here, which this we don't need. I have the rest of the onion there, the mushroom. Here we are. This is a really full platter, nice and hot. Maybe a little piece of parsley in the middle.
Yes, and put a little bit of the broth
Oh yes,
on.
that's a good idea, yes.
Everyone can have a little cup of broth
Yes, on
at
the side.
his or her side.
Even some crouton on the side, and certainly
Yes.
very often it's served with a mustard like this, and some people like the coarse salt.
That makes a very homey meal and a very nice informal Sunday lunch.
Yes.
Now here's a great chicken soup. We didn't eat all of that chicken and vegetables, so we've turned it into a first-rate chicken soup. And now, another recipe that's used with the same chicken was the chicken pot pie. And here's some of the stock, and we've reduced it so it'll have a lot of flavor, so we're going to make a chicken velouté sauce, which starts with a butter and flour roux, which you must always cook for about 2 minutes until it boils and bubbles, and then you're ready to add the liquid. That would be 2 tablespoons.
Yes.
And 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, it should be plenty. Good. And while you're doing the roux there, so I'll cut my vegetable this way. I have mushroom. I can leave them whole or cut them. The boiled onion. There is a great deal of vegetable here. Actually, it's probably twice the amount of vegetable for the amount of meat, which is fine.
That's going to be a super chicken pot pie,
Yes.
I think.
Are you putting the velouté in there? I mean,
Well, I haven't finished it yet. I
Okay.
just wanted to see what you was up to.
Well, I was waiting for your sauce to be
Well,
ready.
I can't do it now.
Okay. You want
You
me to
want to
help you
ladle
pour the-
me?
Yeah.
Ladle me some of that in. Off heat, I'll blend it.
A beautiful stock here. The stock has been reduced by at least half, right, to get some taste.
And
So
as
that's
always, you want to make more sauce than you think, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes. There's never enough.
Never enough.
Okay.
Well, let that simmer while you're
For a
finishing.
couple of minutes. Do you want some cream in there?
Well, why not?
You have some there. Okay,
A
good.
little cream.
And I'll continue cutting my chicken. Be sure to take the bone out. This is the thigh bone. Good. And the rest can be either cut or shredded. You don't want it to cut it too small anyway. Inch pieces. Here we are here. And in that situation, you want to be about ½ inch from the top of the gratin dish here. Mixing this in there. Do you have some peas for me there?
I
This would
do.
look good. But that's going to cook in the oven for
These
a
are
while.
frozen peas, but you said that if there were a certain type, they were okay.
Yes, those I feel are very good on the market. Those are the tiny, they call it baby peas or tender peas or tiny peas. And when they pick them up, they open the tea pad, they put that into a mixture of water and salt. The specific gravity make it so the one which are high in sugar come to the top and the big one high in starch goes to the bottom. So the one which are picked up this way are nice, tender and small. So they're good. Here we are, that looks pretty
Well, you
good.
might taste this.
Yes. I need to.
Give that.
I think the consistency is perfect. So shall we put it on top?
All right.
All right. And we're going to need all of it, yes. Because you want it to be covered. It's just about perfect. You did good there. That's great.
This is perfectly good, just as it is. You could call it chicken a la king, but we're going to make it into a pot pie, so we're going to let it cool off a little bit.
Yes, here is our dough. And I just need a piece of that dough.
This is the dough we made, the pâte brisée, the nice butter pie crust dough.
Okay. I'm going to take about 1/3 of it. I should have enough with this here, because this is not too big, right? Let's get it together.
You're going to do it into an oval shape.
I try.
And
I'm going to try.
And we have our oven is already preheated to what?
About 400
400.
degrees, 70. Yes.
You
maybe
want
a-
to keep the dough cold. Matter of fact, I have a piece of marble I got in a graveyard stone making place that fits into my fridge, and that I keep it cold, and that's wonderful for pastry.
I think I'm going to put a little bit of wash around.
Egg wash.
Egg wash, yes.
That's
Break
a
it
good
on top.
idea. That'll make it stick, won't it?
Yes. And maybe the first thing that I'm going to do is to wet the side of my bowl.
That's going to make
it stick
the pastry stick.
Okay.
This is actually quite cold because the chicken was cold. It was just the sauce that was hot. If it's too warm, that's going to thin out the pastry. Oh, that's nice.
I think it's about enough. We'll glue it around here. Yeah, so we just brush this. Okay. So that should be about, we can maybe mark the top a little bit.
You have to make a steam hole.
I think that'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
One here. Another one. One here and one there. So,
Oven is preheated.
yes, the oven
And
is,
that's a good idea. Put it on a cookie sheet or a jelly roll pan so
Yeah.
it won't boil
Thank
over
you.
and hurt anything.
okay. I think that would take a good 35, 45 minutes. It depends also whether your chicken is hot or cold. And now with the rest of the dough here, we're going to do an apple tart or apple galette.
You wouldn't expect a chicken pot pie dough to turn into a tart, but it's going to, isn't it? Fine.
So we're going to do a glaze first.
And this is a very French beginning to a tart. It's apricot glaze. And you just get plain apricot jam.
The best possible quality apricot jam will give you the best glaze. I'm peeling the apple during that time.
And I'm laboriously pushing this through a sieve.
We're using a golden here. Could use another type of apple, of course.
I think the golden is very important because it may not have the best flavor of all, but it does hold its shape. You're always safe with a golden.
Yes.
With a Granny Smith, if the Granny Smith is a little bit old, it can come apart. It can sometimes puff up. There's quite a bit of pulp in there.
Yes. Well, I can use it.
All right, I'll just give it to you. And I'm going to put in a little sugar here. Put it about a tablespoon in there.
You could, of course, cut your apple in different way. You could slice the apple this way so you can put it like a deck of cards, you know, spreading it
That's
out
nice.
like that on top of
That would be if we were being elegant.
Yeah, but we are not elegant today.
No.
We are functional. Yes. And in this, I thought we'll put some raisins, although they're actually currant, but currant are small raisins. Maybe a little bit of dry apricot, just coarsely cut in this. Here we are. A bit of cinnamon. So maybe a teaspoon or so of cinnamon.
Love that.
That'd be the mixture
Yes.
of... and then a
Did
little
it
bit
have
of sugar.
some sugar in?
Yes, a few, maybe 2, 3 tablespoons.
You know, there's some people that are so afraid of sugar that they'll serve you cut up fruit with no sugar on it, and then none of the juices have started to go.
That's true. So you have that piece left, which is about 2/3 of our recipe.
That's been kept
And
nice
it's
and
a
cold.
bit hard, yes. So we're going to roll it right there. So you want to bang the dough a little bit like
That's a
this.
wonderful way of doing it, of just banging it like that.
Yeah.
And that spreads it out as you bang it.
Yes.
I learned that in Paris.
That get rid of your frustration too. Okay. That's it. So we're going to do a free-form type of dough here, extending it a lot. You know, you have to work fast here, especially when it's very hot in your kitchen.
That's why it's
Because
good
it
to have
tend
one of
to,
those marbles in the fridge all the time.
Yeah, the marble will tend to keep that really cold, you know. Here
I'm
we
going
are.
to pause for a moment and at my glaze. It's now bubbling away, but I want it to boil down to the thread stage, which means until the last drops form a thread from the spoon, so it's not quite there.
Okay. Well, my dough is about ready now. And we'll roll that directly onto the rolling pin. And I'll put it on a cookie sheet like this. All right, here we are. So that's a big tart.
Now this is finally ready, but as you can see, that is threading as it comes off the end of the spoon. But I think you're right, Jack, that we're not going to have enough for the top, so why not put a little bit of just...
You want some of
And
that
then
in the
we'll
bottom?
have both lumps and clear. It gives an awfully nice flavor, I think.
Yes, a little bit in the bottom. And I can put my fruit right on top of it. We want to spread it out, you know, until almost to the edge. I mean, you want to have about a good inch left of the edge. And very simply now you bring back that dough on top of it. We're doing a kind of receptacle
nice being able
here.
To do free form, because it's so much easier, I think.
Yes, and you use all the dough. You don't have anything left over.
Yes.
You know. Good. Sometimes I put a little bit of sugar here on the side so it brown nicely. And then we need a bit of butter in it, about 2 tablespoons of butter or so.
You can always leave out the butter if you feel you must.
But it's better with it.
Oh, always.
And I'm going to put that in the oven, 400 degrees, for like an hour.
Chicken pot pie.
Look nice and brown. Now I think it's ready.
Beautiful.
Yes. So, whoop. This is a nice dish to bring
That
to the
looks
table,
lovely.
you know.
That looks beautiful. This one serves 6 people, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's easy, yeah. What do you think?
Oh, that looks lovely.
Look at that.
There's all that nice sauce. Oh,
Yeah,
it
do you
smells beautiful.
I'm testing in the big dish and you're testing in the plate, right?
I want to see how that.
It's hot.
Oh. Well,
But good.
that's a very good pie crust,
Yeah, it does.
isn't it?
That's very good. And
That's
then
lovely.
now we move on to the big tart, right?
Well, that's beautiful.
You want to bring your glaze?
You want to put a few drops of Grand Marnier in?
Yeah.
Is that
And it
okay?
gives a finished look, you know, when you can even brush a little bit of it on
That's nice.
the crust, you know. And I like to put that with the spoon, like if you are glazing it this
That
way.
makes all the difference. If you don't have the glaze, it's not as jolly.
quite
as
as
dessert,
nice,
is it?
yeah.
Yes, this is lovely. That looks very nice.
Yes, and it's easy to serve, you know. For a big party, you do those big tarts like this, and they are nice to cut like into wedge, you know. It works out pretty good, you know. Here it is.
That looks pretty good.
You think we should have some whipped cream with
Oh,
that?
yes, we might have some whipped cream.
I'm going to put a little bit here. I want to give it a little bit of a finishing touch with a sprig of mint, maybe, on top here.
That's very nice because it goes with the plate, too.
Yes,
And we should try it.
now we should try it.
We don't want to show it to anyone if we don't really think
No.
it's delicious.
I always want to try on the side of the dough. And you can see here the flakiness of that dough. I mean, it's falling almost like a puff paste.
That is good, Jack. I think the dough is excellent.
I think we did well.
I think so. I think we
Yes.
deserve a little glass of wine.
And I think we deserve
I
some
think
wine,
we
right?
do.
Well, we hope you're going to do it for your friend
Oh, you'll love it.
and cook
Bon
together.
appetit.
And happy cooking.
A presentation of KQED San Francisco.
Today is Salmon Day.
It's Salmon Day, and we have half a dozen recipes for you. Lots of equipment, fish scalers, shears, a clamshell, a bicycle pump, and even an inflated paper bag. Today is Salmon Day.
Happy cooking!
Bon appetit. That's a beautiful salmon,
Isn't it? I mean, those are raised salmon. It's a species of Atlantic salmon, but it's raised usually in Norway or in Canada or in Chile, you know. We should scale it, right?
Yeah.
Even whether we use the scale or not, this is a good scaler. But I mean, when you do that in your kitchen, it really makes a mess.
It goes all over
you know.
everything.
So we have another method, right?
I think this is a very good idea.
Yes.
I've never seen this before.
What we do, you put it in a big bag, and you can use a scaler like that, which is really good, or even a shell. One of those will
shell.
work.
I think that's...
And you do it in the bag so that you don't make too much of a mess in your kitchen.
You have to do both sides, don't you?
See, so you have all of those tiny scales, you know.
Yes, that would be all over us.
So I'm going to rinse it 1 second. Here we are.
Now you're going to fillet us. I think it's terribly useful for all of us to know how to fillet one of these great big fish.
Yes.
And Jack is really going to show us how.
Good. And look how fresh it is. You can see the gill
That's
there,
beautiful.
bright red like this.
Good.
Inside, how pink it is, and your nose particularly will tell you. There is 4 or 5 ways of boning it out. And I tend to go from this side under, under the gill, then turn your knife and just go.
Now let's see what you're hitting there.
Here
Let's
I'm hitting flat.
So then there's the bone.
Flat on the bone.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stay on that bone. Flat
A very sharp knife, of
Yes,
course.
a good sharp knife. So that's
beautiful.
one side. And you know what you do when you cut it on the thing like this? See, I follow that bone, but that bone is round, so there is a little bit of meat left here. So what we do, we scrape it to put that in our tartare, right?
Good.
Here we are. You see?
Don't waste a thing.
Don't waste anything at all.
But that's very useful to know. Second time, same as the first,
Same
really.
thing. I just follow the other side. Now, what happened here, we have the rib cage on each side, so I have to slide my knife underneath.
Seal those bones.
Yeah. Like this.
It's essential having a really sharp knife.
Yes. Not only a sharp knife here, but one fairly long, And then you slice as little meat as you can, of course, out of this. Now, what we have to do out of this, if we have the skin, it's practically all clean now on this side. We have to remove the bone here. As you know, those bones is that line that you can really feel. Julia, right here?
Yes.
And we have a little plier.
You can feel them with your finger there.
You have to remove that line of bone because that line of bone is straight down into the fish.
Now we're going to do what Jack calls instant gravlax, or it's a very fast one in which you cure it in slices and it's ready to eat in about half an hour. So I'm going to start out with this mixture of 2 tablespoons of salt and 1 of sugar, and pepper, about a good teaspoon there. Put this mixture in the bottom of the platter. We'll use tarragon and
chives if you want.
And chives. Sprinkling in the bottom of the platter too.
And now I can give you a slice, and this is raw salmon.
It's kind of squashy, isn't it?
Yes.
Now as he slices it, I'm going to put just a little sprinkling of the salt cure down on each of these.
And what happened is that it's so thin there that the action of the salt on it will take only so long to do. I mean, the time that it takes the salt to melt.
So this will be nicely arranged so that all you need to do is to serve it. This is called gravlax and also dilled salmon. This is a Scandinavian dish. I lived for about 2 years in Norway, which I loved, and this was one of their best foods. Well, I think that's done now. I'm going to sprinkle the herbs on top. Now it gets covered with plastic and weighted down. You can really serve it in about half an hour. 2 hours or even the next day would be even better, I think. So we'll weight that down and refrigerate it.
And there I wanted to cut a piece of fish to saute, very often we saute a piece of fish on the skin this way.
Well, that will be nice.
And if you want to do a steak of salmon, you can use a piece large like this and then cut right through the skin, only cutting through the skin a little bit. Then you can fold it this way, and it you see, like a...
It just looks like a big salmon steak.
Like a big salmon steak,
that's a
but
good idea.
without the bone in the middle. So that's a nice way of cutting it too. So now we're going to do the tartare, right? Shall I give you a little bit of shallots for that?
Okay.
Notice that on the gravlax that we did not put any lemon juice or vinegar on top because the acidic agent or the citric acid in the lemon juice is going to cook the salmon. In that case, that's what we want to do. So cut a little bit of the skin to do a type of fine julienne, to put on top.
Or you could grate it, I guess.
We could grate it too.
Now, are you going to put garlic in this, Jacques?
I don't think so. We have the shallots.
There are a few things
We
that
have
you
the
don't put
shallots.
garlic in.
And a little bit of the lemon juice here. That's it. A little bit of Tabasco. Shall we put salt, pepper? You want to put salt and pepper in this?
Now, would you rather have black or white pepper?
Black, without any question there.
You like speckled food.
I do. I also like taste in the food, and the black pepper has more taste than the white one. So what I have to give you, in addition to that, is a little bit of olive oil in there.
Okay. This is excellent olive oil. See how we like that.
You want to taste it?
Good.
It needs to season a little bit, and I think we could serve
Little cucumber.
some cucumber, maybe. So we peel the cucumber. I like to use that vegetable peeler, to cut slice of cucumber this way. Yeah, beautiful. I have a whole bunch now, or little strip of cucumber with one cucumber, and as you can see the center of it, the seed, then you don't have to use it. Now we could use them this way, or I could do a little bit of a julienne for it to prevent it. Okay, what do you think?
This, I'll get a nice plate. How about that? Do you like that plate?
Yes. This could be
Season
seasoned
that.
with a little bit of a dash of salt, and even a little bit of sugar on there. You think so?
Sugar brings out the flavor in cucumber.
And dash of vinegar, maybe? I like vinegar.
A little wine vinegar.
Yes, just a
But
few
that's
drops
interesting
like
about
this.
the sugar in the cucumber. It does make a lot of difference.
Yes. And maybe we do like a little nest. And we want to put a bit of bread around. Don't you think it looks good this way?
Yeah.
We can actually, use those also just in slice as is. I do that sometime on the gravlax to put it underneath, to give it more volume.
That's a very
Or to
that
put
would be
it
a good idea.
around, so that could be seasoned also. A bit of sugar, again, a bit of salt, a bit of pepper,
Black pepper.
a little more of this, vinegar, and this could be mixed. So maybe,
I think that's ready to eat already.
yes, I feel that
That's a good idea, and it's much prettier than just having slices of cucumber, don't you think?
right. And it's quite easy to do. All you need is a good vegetable peeler.
So that's an exhibition of cold salmon dishes. Now we're going to roast a whole fish. This is an Arctic char. It looks exactly like a salmon. How can you tell the difference? It doesn't have any scales.
No
for one
scale,
thing.
yes, and it does come from Alaska or way
Yeah.
up north, and it's very, very delicate.
They have it in Norway, too. It's called a sea trout, a sjøørret.
Oh, yes? In France, we call it omble chevalier, and it's very expensive
do?
also,
Yeah.
from the Great Lake. So we doing it whole, just seasoned?
Then also, we have
the
to
gill
take the
out.
gills out.
Okay.
I always use my little scissors like that. Cut it on either side, and then push it to the other side. And then it's attached at the front and the back. And you just have to throw it out, because there isn't anything edible in it. You just throw it out.
Okay.
Now, all we do here, And it's very easy to roast. I'm going to put in a little handful of chopped shallot. And I have some fresh thyme in there. We want a little white pepper in because it's my fish.
Good. Your fish
I know
with
you
white
like
pepper.
your black one. And this time, you could use kosher salt. And that's all it needs. I think it's just a little rubbing with olive oil.
On top?
You don't need anything else because it really cooks in its own juices.
Yes, this is a very rich, very fatty type of fish.
If you rub that on, I'm going to put it in this beautiful dish here.
This is stainless steel, so...
So this will be cook and serve in the same dish. Now this is going to go into a 400-degree oven, and you can tell when it does because suddenly the fish juices begin to come out. You can suddenly smell roasting fish, and then it's done. So here it goes into the 400-degree oven.
We're going to continue with a few other dishes. One of them I wanted to show you is a salmon cooked on the skin with a little bit of salt on each side. You don't put anything in the pan and just cook it on the skin. It's cooked what we call a l'unilateral. You see the way it shrinks? It will only cook on the skin to get it crisp. We don't turn it.
And even the top is going to cook.
Yes.
Well, that's amazing.
And I cover it like that. So
Cover.
that's one of the easiest way of doing it, yes.
That's nice having an easy roast and an easy saute, isn't it?
Shall we do our paper casing for the papillote?
Let's do that.
Okay. So you have one way of doing it, right?
I'm going to do the simple way.
Okay,
You're going to do the fancy French way.
I have no idea what your way is, right? So I don't know how it is.
I'm just going to take a nice big piece of fish there. And I'm going to oil it just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm just going to start out with a little sauteed shallot. Would you saute them for me? Just, I think, in a tiny bit of butter.
Tiny bit of butter in there. You want to put them here.
There.
Thank you. And this is to put in your papillote, right?
This to put in my pepper.
Okay.
This is also going to have a tomato.
Would you like your shallots now?
Yes, with the butter too.
Right on top. The
Oh, this-
shallots are sauteed about 10 seconds also, just to soften them,
This I
right?
have parsley, which is
Just
so...
parsley, okay?
Well, that's all we do to this. Hold it all along. This is a recipe I saw in Venice. There's a very cute woman cook teacher named Fulvia,
Oh, yeah?
and she does this. And then it just goes in the oven like this.
All right. Yeah,
So
it's
that's
smaller.
ready.
Okay.
That's certainly easy. It couldn't be easier. And it really tastes very good, you'll see.
Well, I'm going to do another type of papillote, but you know, before I do the papillote, I'm looking at my fish who cook only
good.
on one side, and it's cooked, you
Well,
see?
that's amazing. How long was that cooked?
Oh, about 6-7 minutes. So what we want to do is to serve it on a plate just like this. We serve it on the skin. You see, the skin is very crusty on the other side. And there, remember, I didn't put any fat in it, and I have at least a tablespoon of the fat from the salmon. Yeah.
Heavens, if you're on a fat-free diet, then
Yeah,
you
but that's,
eat-
yeah.
you wouldn't
I'll
eat
take it
salmon.
out. Take it out to put a little bit of butter in it. A little bit of butter like this. I think I'll put a piece of onion, maybe. We've been using a lot of shallots, so maybe I'll use a tiny bit of finely sliced onion like this. The onion saute for half a minute, 30 seconds or so. I think I'm going to put some capers in there.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah. And lemon juice directly in my pan here to make that mixture. And I like
Smells
that mixture
good.
directly on the salmon with a little bit of the parsley here and there.
Well,
You know,
that's,
this is a very
well,
fast,
that's very nice. Very fast.
dish, yes. So we'll do a papillote with that big piece of parchment paper. Yeah? Again, I'm going to do like you, put a piece like this with a little bit of salt and pepper. You mind if I use black pepper?
No, it's your
Oh, good.
fish.
Okay, good. And in this, I think I'll put a little bit of zucchini, maybe in a julienne, to have it. The vegetable will cook at the same time than the fish, you know, in a type of hot house, you know, if you want. Okay, so we do a little stick of zucchini. I have carrot. I did like that too. And the carrots are raw too. Everything is uncooked. And maybe I put a couple of shiitake mushroom. The stem is always tough in the shiitake mushroom.
You keep the stem for stock?
Yes, yes.
But you don't eat it because it's too tough.
Well, if you do a duxelle, for example, if you chop it very fine, then it's fine. But otherwise, it's tough. So a couple of those.
It's nice using zucchini. It's always find a reason to use zucchini, particularly if you're a gardener.
Okay, here we are. And then on top of that, I want to put a little piece of butter.
No garlic?
No garlic. No oil, just butter. I could put garlic in it.
It's up to you. It's your dish.
Now maybe I'll put some parsley also.
No.
Okay, so we fold it in half.
Well, you're going to do a fancy
No, you just
fold.
you just fold the end of it, you know, all around. You need to make a casing.
Much
you know?
nicer than the way I did mine.
Well, it really doesn't matter.
This is a fancier dish.
What counts is whether it's good or not, you know, ultimately. So we go around. This has to be very tight, you know, so you can use maybe a little container like this to really rub it. And at the end of it, you could put it like that in the oven, but it's good to inflate it a little bit. And we could blow directly in it. Otherwise, in a restaurant, what we did the last time was doing this. So you're going to pump it. I put this here. Wait a minute. I
They win.
Okay, go ahead. That's getting there. That's good.
Is that enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I'll take the end of it, and all you do, you twist the end of it, and that creates a kind of hot house, you know, there. And I like to maybe brush this a little bit with oil to help it brown the paper, you know.
Oh, because this is going to be a dramatic presentation at the table.
Oh, usually a papillote, often you do
yeah.
it at the table, yes. So, what we do, we'll put our papillote here, and there, and that in about
very pretty.
A 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes. You know, that should take. So, good. Here is our papillote. This is really hot.
Very dramatic.
So, sometimes the papillote is served directly in the paper casing. Sometimes the paper casing is removed. Sometimes you put it directly on the plate, and the maître d' in front of you will cut and serve it directly in there, you know. But
if you're
frankly,
serving it at home, then what?
Serving it at home, you can let the people open it themselves, or you can, at that point, open the whole papillote and just slide the fish out of it, which is perfectly fine too, because it will slide very easily outside. Do you want yours in the papillote or outside?
No, I want it out.
Outside, so again, do it in the same way. Looks beautiful. Just slide it out. There is a lot of juice. Oh, here it's broken, so that's it.
Oh, and there we are.
And here we are. By the time it's finished cooking, one or the other would end up with the same thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So now, shall we see whether our big fish in the oven is cooked?
No, we're going to very carefully look at it and see how we can tell. One thing you can tell is, do these come out easily?
That's right.
And they do. That's definitely done. And then I think you look in the inside. There shouldn't be any red in it, the middle, and there isn't any.
This, you would want to remove the skin for that, right?
I would think. And you're going to serve it any way you'd like.
Oh, the skin, as you see here, will remove very easily. That's it.
And what's lovely about it, too, it's been steamed in its own juices. Would you put a little parsley? Do we have some? Because some people are disturbed by fish eyes.
Yes, so we can hide the fish eye. You can put wedge of lemon around. You want me to do that while you're doing the sauce?
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to make a beurre blanc, a white butter sauce, simply by boiling together the juice of the lemon, butter, shallots, and fish or chicken stock. It's very easy and perfect with salmon.
All right. Shall I put some of the vegetable on the side? If you were going to the dining room, would you put a little bit of those vegetables around?
Yes, that's very pretty.
And maybe
That's nice.
those right here. So shall we
And then
carve a portion?
And then let's serve it.
So at that point, you would follow the line in the middle here. And actually, this is the back fillet, this is the belly fillet. The back fillet is always a bit nicer. So there, I think one portion like this would be basically enough, and it will slide off the bone.
If it doesn't slide, it ain't done.
And we do the same thing on the other side.
And what's lovely about this is wonderfully juicy. I'm going to put a little of this lovely sauce on here.
And at that point...
And then put a few vegetables on.
All right. Those vegetables at the table. Some tomato. Yes, that's really good. Maybe a wedge of lemon on the side.
That looks very nice.
And when you finish, of course...
Let's show the other side.
When you finish, then you would remove that old bone. You know, the whole thing with all of the little tiny bone, you know, there is hundreds of them, as you can see, come out of it. What you could do also is to open it like I open, like a flower here, and then remove the central bone and put that back on top.
And then bring it to the table.
Put that back on top, yes, and bring it to the table, you see? Well, I think this is a very beautiful dish.
I think it is too. Well, this is just a few of the many recipes you can do with fresh salmon. So I shall say, if I can get this under my fork, which I can't. Bon appetit.
And happy cooking.
It's lovely to cook with you, Jacques.
And with you too.
And here's to you.
A presentation of KQED San Francisco.
Today we're going to do roast. We have a magnificent roast shoulder of veal and a big leg of lamb.
And we're going to do that with all kind of incredible ingredients, which a few years ago you couldn't find anywhere except in Europe. Fresh herbs, great cheese, mushroom, and so forth.
And we found them at our local supermarket just up the street. Well, let's get going.
Good. Happy cooking.
Bon appetit. We're going to start with the veal, and I think we should discuss what to look for when you buy veal.
The color here, we have a beautiful color veal. Nice pink, it's not too reddish. And we can season it very simply with a little bit of herbe de Provence, which is a mixture of different type of herbs. I'm going to take some of your salt here. That would be part of the inside shoulder, top blade, they will call it sometime. And that's, in my opinion, a very good, very lean piece of meat and very moist. If you want to hold it together, better we can do it with a kitchen twine like this, making an attachment
Butcher's
here.
kitchen twine.
Yes, don't use nylon thread
No.
to melt, you know.
No, that would
And what
melt.
you do here is very simply a loop here for the brownies, you know, or the people who have a boat, that you do a half each, and you pull that this way, and again the loop, and after you ease it very gently underneath, then pull it again tight,
And that's
and again.
easy to do once you know how.
Exactly. This is very useful for your Christmas package, you know. From here, you go gently, roll it on the other side, and do the same thing here. So finally, you bring it back again to attach it wherever you started, you know. And it does hold it together nicely, you know.
Nicely explained.
Yes, thank you. Now, can I have a little piece of butter? We're going to saute that in a large saucepan like this because I need the space to put a lot of garnish around. Okay, here we are. But first, the first part of it is to brown the veal on all face here. And that's what's going to happen in the last 10-15 minutes.
While you do that, I'll cut some of the mushrooms.
We'll work with the mushroom, right?
We're using wild mushrooms.
Can I help you on
You
this?
please do.
Okay.
These are just plain ordinary mushrooms.
Those are oyster mushrooms, you know. And those now are raised, you know. They used to be strictly wild. I personally pick up quite a lot. Every year I pick up in the area of 200 pounds of wild mushroom of about 20 different types.
You have to know mushrooms, so.
You do, but you know, in most towns you can go to the Mycological Society, often the extension of the university, and you go on foray in the wood, and it's great. But if you don't know anything about mushroom, please don't pick up mushroom on your lawn and eat it. It could be very dangerous, you know. But it's a great,
Oh, it's a great
fun to do, yes. So here you have a mixture, huh? Here you get type of yellow food chanterelle here. I kind of wild mushroom. Those fall out in nothing, so we just break them apart. What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to saute them with some shallots and a bit of butter.
Let me see
So I
my
can
roast
use
now.
Plenty of butter.
Gonna turn it on the other side. You're starting getting beautifully brown here. Okay.
I'm just going to put these mushrooms in. They have to exude their juices at this point. Just put them all in.
Okay.
I'm also going to put in, I have some chopped shallots. Put plenty of them in.
I think on the garnish I'm going to put a leek in there instead of onion,
That
you know.
would be nice. That is all washed.
Yes, it's all washed, and most of the part of the leek, I mean, which is white and very light green, you can use the green part for something else. Maybe a couple of lemon rind I'm going to put around for taste.
This veal likes lemon, doesn't it?
It's true, yes.
You know.
I think I'm going to put some savory here. I have some savory, which are related to thyme and all this. You know? So this is brown nicely all around. And I do have crystallization of the juice here. I want to put this around to cook. And of course, a little bit of white wine. I think about a cup of white wine. Then I will cook that first for about 20 minutes before I put the rest of my vegetable in it.
Here's our big leg of lamb, and this is a whole leg of lamb. It goes from where?
From where?
There.
From the hip? Yes.
But it also has the tail in it, and it has the hip bone.
Yeah. This is the place where you sit down when you go horseback riding, you know? What we are going to do first is remove that big hip bone. No, you follow the shape of the bone,
Yes,
really,
which is
and you go
convoluted.
up to a little bit convoluted, yes. And then there is the hips, yeah, that one
Now
here.
this,
you can
interesting, this
see.
is the ball joint of where the main leg attaches to the hip.
Yeah, because you can see
can
here
see it in
that
there.
joint right there, the end of the femur, if you want, and getting into the socket of the pelvis bone here. So that whole part. See, the interesting part of it, of course, you can buy it, and you don't have to do it, but frankly, when you know how to do that, whether it's a leg of pork or a leg of anything, it's always the same cut, you know? And we can do a great stock with that.
That's interesting. There was this part here, that ball joint was attached to the hip by tendons, and you have to cut them out.
Right there, you have to cut the tendon inside. But that you do a great stock with it. So now I'm going to remove more of that fat, and as you can see here, there is a big layer of fat. We're going to stuff that with rosemary and garlic, right?
Yes, I was supposed to be doing this while you were doing that, wasn't I?
Right. Okay, some garlic and a beautiful rosemary here. So I'll continue getting out of the fat here, and as you can see, most of the fat I get out is on top of the hip, really. What it gets here, it's really just a skin here. There isn't much to take out.
I'm just going to say I'm chopping the garlic and then putting a little salt here.
Oh, good.
And then I'm going to puree it with the flat of the knife.
That's exactly what we need. I'm giving you some rosemary in there, right?
What am I supposed to do with this?
To chop the whole thing together, we decided.
Okay.
That was your recipe this morning.
No, this is not my... You must have read it somewhere.
Okay. We're going to make a little hole here, sliver, and insert that in there. You want to do a little sliver to show them a different way of doing it? So this is really the classic little sliver of garlic that you put in there. So you make a little hole and you slide one. This one, to make it a bit different, we've done the puree here.
Yeah.
Which at that point is another way of filling it up in there, which is nice also. Here, you want another piece here?
That's
good. And that really flavors the meat. Of course, you could stuff it.
You could do this well ahead and just keep it in the fridge for a day.
In fact, it's good to do it a little ahead.
Yes, I think so, then it would permeate the meat more thoroughly.
Don't forget the underside, you know. I think we have about enough, yes. Here, here. You have a little bit left, you know, I can rub it on top of it. And this is the part here, just in front of that bone, which is the top sirloin, the hip steak. And if you cut it this way, you have a nice little roast here. This is maybe the most tender part of the leg.
This is very nice.
Yeah, it is, yes. Okay, so we put some pepper in it, some salt on each side. Pepper again. About 400-degree oven.
400?
Yes.
How long did that?
Well, that's going to take a while until it registers about, take it about 130-degree internal temperature.
Oh. How long is it going to stay at 400 degrees?
Until it's cooked.
You're going to cook it at 400?
Yes, I cook it at 400. Yes. Yes. Well, you can lower the heat, but what's important is to let it rest at the end for a while.
I usually cook it at 350, but...
Oh, well. We can lower it and cook it at 350.
I'd like to taste it your way.
How is your mushroom doing?
I haven't done anything about them for a while.
So this is
they were just sitting there, but they've reduced their juices. I'm going to cook them a little bit now to evaporate their juices.
Good. So we have plenty of time because I am going to take a look at my roast. Now I have my roast, which is reducing quite a lot. I have almost no more juice. And I thought that I was going to put my endive directly next to it. Braise the endive with it. Belgian endive, right? And this is actually the root from the chicory. It's grown into sand, in cellar, or covered in the dark, so it doesn't get exposed to photosynthesis. So there is no green happening, then it grows white out of it. And it's a very interesting process.
Now, I've never cooked it this way.
Me neither.
No, you neither.
Yes, we're trying it. Okay, I'm going to put my roast on top of it.
Well,
and I'll see.
Blanch it, but this should give. Are you going to baste it with any of that juice?
No, I'm going to put a little bit of salt again on top, a dash of white wine or stock. I don't have stock here, so I'll put a dash more of white wine. And now it should cook a good 45 minutes now, I would think.
Well, I'll be interested to see what this tastes like, sir.
Me too. And now we're going to do our gratin of eggplant.
Of eggplant.
Right.
Now, when you pick an eggplant, be sure that it's shiny and firm, that the skin is firm on it. If it's dull and wrinkled, it's going to be bitter, isn't it?
That's what they say.
And this, they say, this size is male, and the males are better than the females, this eggplant. I don't know that that's true or not.
It seems that the male have less seed than the female.
I think so. These are very nice eggplant.
I think I have a female. I have a lot of seed.
Oh, yes, that's female.
You know, you can see at the end of it, they say there is a mark where you can see whether it's a male or a female. I never know which is which. That is in the eggplant.
We want to salt them and put on some herbs. So we put on some sort of mixed Italian herbs.
Mm-hmm. You put some oil on top?
Yes.
And I put a little bit of the herb. That's good.
That can go into your 400-degree oven with the lamb. Then we cook them just until they're soft.
Uh-huh.